Well, as is standard, they saved the worst for last. The truth is, this fight actually isn't that hard once you actually figure out what it is you're supposed to do. It's just that even after you've figured it out, you're still hoping for the RNG to be nice to you, for you to be able to beat this map without throwing your phone across the room. So here we're fighting Team Overlord. Ainz brings his most famous strategy from the show, which is to sit there and buff himself and his team over and over, because he's too weenie to just fight you straight up. So on this map, Ainz, at the end of every one of his turns, will randomly give stacks of a buff to himself or his allies. Now this is the first big RNG portion of this fight. Once any of the characters has 4 stacks, they'll just go apeshit and do a giant AoE that has a really good chance of wiping you, and even if it doesn't, there's a pretty good chance you'll be dead the next turn after that. Now these stacks are dispellable, so obviously skills like Roar and Sword Soul are all useful here. Pretty much everybody thought of the same strategy here, which is just use Varna to kite Sheltier and Albedo around, while using 1000 arrows to dispel whatever stacks you can and try to slow down the incoming wave of destruction. As you may have noticed just from that description, because Varna dispels 1 buff at a time and Ainz gives 2 stacks of it at the end of every turn, it only takes a bit of bad luck for the whole Varna kiting strategy to go awry. But in case you get past that layer of RNG, the next layer of RNG is Ainz himself. Now, Ainz is mostly harmless himself. Well, unless you allow him to get a bunch of stacks, then obviously he'll just kill everybody. But the big showstopper here, and I think everybody noticed it, is the skill Coercion. This gives Ainz a 50% chance to reduce his opponent's attack range by 1 anytime he enters battle. Effectively, this means that anybody trying to normal attack him, or anytime he attacks somebody, there's a 50% chance that your attack will just straight up not happen, which I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. Now, obviously there are ways around it. Extreme magic bow assassins or archers, skills like Air Slash and Javelin, as long as you use these in melee range, because your range will be 1 even after your range gets reduced by 1, you can just go ahead and hit Ainz with it anyway. But obviously you can't just bring a whole team of that. You need to bring units that can cast Roar or Sword Soul and stuff, and all those are 1 range skills. So for a lot of the fight, you're just kind of sitting there hoping that Ainz will not activate Coercion. Now I think I kind of get what they were going for here. They wanted the activation to be high enough so that you brought skills like Air Slash and stuff to guarantee that you'll do some base amount of damage to him. And they wanted to set the activation rate of it high enough so that you can't just brute force your way through Ainz. But I really feel like there could have been a better way of doing something like this, other than literally making every attack you make be a point flip chance of not happening. But anyway, I guess I won't rant about it too much because I'm pretty sure the player base has already ranted about it enough. So as you can see, this is the first time I fielded Kirikaze. Out of the SR and freebie characters, Kirikaze was pretty much built for this fight. He's got both Roar and Air Slash, he's got cooldown reduction, and he does pretty good damage anyway. So what more can you ask for? The only issue here is that I can't really afford to bring Freya to buff Kirikaze, so I'm pretty much stuck with just having him get buffed by Sophia, which is usually good enough. The other nice thing is that because I've brought Parn as one of my DPS, I need an infantry to counterbalance that out when I get around to fighting Shaltir. I guess I could have just reclassed Parn to infantry, but I was really too lazy to do that at this point. I guess one final thing I'll note about Ainz and his stacks is that you can steal them with Oliver and Silverwolf if you really wanted to. However, Ainz considers stacks on your allies to also be stacks for his abilities. So if you steal these stacks with Oliver or something, he will still get a bunch of stat boosts, and eventually he'll get enough stacks to just do his big AoE and kill you. Now obviously you could still bring Oliver or Silverwolf, you just need to make sure to roar his stacks away near the beginning of the fight and only start stealing them when Ainz is nearly dead. Now the nice thing is that all the RNG in this fight is pretty much all focused into Ainz. Once you kill Ainz, you're pretty much home free. Well, assuming your DPS is high enough to beat the stage, obviously. After killing Ainz, it's pretty much about killing Shaltir and Albedo as fast as you can, while keeping your stacks down. Now, I actually do screw up at one point and need to use the Clock of Forgiveness. It was just a careless mistake I made, and forgive me, I'm too lazy to go back and repeat the stage over and over again just so I can get a good RNG seed for the initial part of the fight. But yeah, there's really not a lot to say about Albedo and Shaltir themselves. Albedo, of course, is very tanky, so it's pretty much just a DPS check from there. Shaltir's Blood Curse Spear attack might be a little bit threatening, but as long as you keep your HP high, it really shouldn't be that big of an issue. As is obvious, I didn't even really need to bring a tank here. The only unit that would probably get one shot by Shaltir here is Almeida. Parn can get one shot if Shaltir still has her troops left over, but if Shaltir has no troops and Parn has maxed out soldiers, the Steel Wings can just tank most of the hits, and it won't really be a problem. I guess the last thing I'll mention is that I am aware that there is a cheese method for this fight that involves converting Ainz to a demon and blowing up with Yusuke. This does not work if you use Chris, because Ainz's magic defense is just way too high. I just figured I'd point that out, in case somebody asked why I didn't try doing that. Anyway, like I said, this is not a complicated or even a especially difficult fight. It's just really, really annoying. So for those of you who haven't done this fight yet, may your RNG be blessed to beat this stage quickly. I'm getting out of here. See you guys next time.